everyone who's jumped on for part 2 of Jess's presentation on engagement during lockdown. Last week she went through some of the things that she has been doing, and this week she'll dive into how she does that, how she plans for that, and she'll also talk a bit about how she gives feedback as well. So I'll hand over to Jess, and Jess can do her presentation. I'll let you share the screen too, Jess.
Yes, that would be perfect.
That's the next thing I do too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it should be all good.
Perfect. Now, let me just try that. Oh, see my little spaceman. All right. Okay, perfect. So welcome back to session number 2 of my engagement presentation. Basically, first, before we get into it, I want to thank you all for being here, firstly, and thank you for watching it, if you are watching it at a later time. Basically, it's super cool at the moment that we get the opportunity to take time out of our busy schedules to learn from others and listen to what other people have to say, and, you know, open up to new ideas and things that we may have not thought about before. So super grateful to be here, be able to share some of my stuff, and I hope that you guys can take something away from it today. So today we're going to take on how do I plan my sessions, what skills I focus on particularly, examples of a session plan and drills that I do run. We're going to go through items that kids can use around the house to assist workouts during this time, and how I deliver feedback, and some, I guess, strategies around that as well. Okay, so I guess, I don't know if you want to go through, Lockie. We spoke about last week going away and doing something. If anybody wants to chime in and let us know if they did try any of those engagement activities, and let us know. Do we want to do that? Do we want to give the opportunity for people to chime in?
Yeah, I can share first something that I did.
Yeah.
It wasn't really one of the engagement activities. It was something different I did with just the sessions that I run during the holidays. I just made a lot of it time-based rather than reps-based. Hearing what you said last week, I said that's a really good idea, so I took that on board, and this week I included a lot more timing of doing a certain skill for 45 seconds or a minute, and then rather than do it 3 or 4 times or something like that.
Perfect. Did you find that it was like easier for you to kind of move on and get through stuff?
Yeah, it was a bit, but as always, you don't stick to it. Like,
yes.
and like you'll talk about your feedback today, but I found especially you'd start the timer and then you start watching, you give feedback to people, then, you know, they go, oh, go do it again. And by the time you look at the clock, it's been 1:30, it's been 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So that's just the next step of that balance between giving feedback and sticking to the times, which can be challenging.
Absolutely. It is a balance. You're right. Does anybody else have anything that they want to share?
Doesn't look like it.
No? No one else? All right, cool. That's okay. All right, let me see if I can click. All right, perfect. So let's go on to how I plan my sessions. So it comes down to training details, training environment, and ensuring I maintain engagement for all skill levels. So when I plan my training sessions, I always include the following for the training details. So you obviously have to confirm the date and let everybody know when you will be training, the time that you will be training, how long the training will go for, the skills. You have to figure out what skills you're going to be focusing on for that particular session, equipment that may be required to go along with any drills that you have planned. And like I mentioned last week, I put it into times rather than reps to plan my sessions, to plan for the amount of time. And I also keep it interesting by rotating skills. So during this time, I found it more successful to rotate different skills rather than try to, you know, perfect one particular skill. I found, rotating gets the kids coming back and getting them excited to do it all again. Does anyone have any questions about that? No, all good. Perfect. The training environment. So basically, at this point in time, not everybody has the ideal training environment, and we have to be understanding of that when we're trying to plan our sessions, especially ones that are through Zoom and stuff like that. So drills need to take up limited space, and the drills need to be able to be performed pretty much anywhere. You have to take into consideration the training aids required, if they are easily available. So an example would be sometimes when I practice my passing, I bring along my medicine balls, and the kids can use those to help with their passing. Now, if I wanted to run one of those via Zoom, I would have to assume that everyone had a medicine ball readily available, which is just not realistic. So that would be something that you would take into consideration when planning your sessions. You want to avoid things that are hard to access from home. It's important that most of your skills and drills can be practiced solo. However, as we are speaking about engagement, it is always, you got to always understand or try to include whoever is willing to participate. So, if they've got a brother or sister, you can, give them a two-player drill, or if they get, siblings or parents involved, you think about what you have to work with and how you can adjust it to get more people involved, get more people engaged. So like you said, another example for passing would be, if mum or dad wanted to stand there and throw a pass, back and forth, then that would be a really good thing to keep them engaged. And the last one, basically to ensure that I get maximum engagement, like again, I've mentioned it several times, I use time-based drills rather than reps. And that's just basically, as Lockie mentioned as well, you could have a group of athletes with differing skill levels. And then if like Lockie said again, if you have 10, if you say you want them to do 10, and one's at a really high skill level, one's at a really low skill level, obviously the one with the high skill level is going to finish really quick and going to be probably less engaged, a little bit bored whilst waiting for everybody else to kind of finish it. Whereas if you do it for 45 seconds, the kid with a really high skill level might get in 90 reps and really push themselves, whereas the kids that are still developing may get 30 or 40, but they're still both getting the best out of that potential training time, and not wasting any of that time and not being disengaged. So that's super important. I also try to modify versions of the drills that I have to make sure that, again, everyone's enjoying it. You got to know your kids as well. Like some kids shy away from things if they're not good at them. So you don't want to deter kids from coming back because they thought it was too hard, or on the opposite end, you don't want to deter kids from coming back if the session was too easy. So I try to modify and have skill progressions for certain drills. So an example would be one of our drills when we do our one ball handling is continuous behind the back. And that's boom, boom, boom. Every dribble, you're expecting them to push it behind their back. Now, some people aren't able to do that. So we encourage them to dribble the ball on the outside until they've got the ball control to be able to push it back behind their back, and then dribble on the outside as many times as they can or want to feel safe and comfortable, and then push it back. So the progression is you want to try to minimize those dribbles until they're doing it every single one. So that's how you can kind of monitor adding in extra dribbles to allow them to feel more comfortable and get that sense of achievement and progression. So that's pretty much what I do to make sure that everybody stays engaged. Does anyone have any questions about that? Lockie, you good with that? Perfecto, excellent. So the next one is the skills that I focus on. So while I've been in lockdown doing my Zoom sessions, I focus on shooting without a hoop or form shooting, agility and footwork, passing, individual defense, and dribbling. So why these particular skills? I focus on these ones because these are the skills that are fundamental for the game of basketball. That's an easy, pretty simple answer, but they all require constant training, and the more you do them, the better you get at them. Basketball is used really, I guess, particular movements in basketball. So if you don't use them, you lose them. And that's coming from me who, used to play a lot of basketball, and now I try to do these skills with these kids, and I find it super difficult when I'm trying to give them demos because I don't use them as much. So I'm not as good as them. So it's very strange because I played basketball for a very, very long time, and then to come and try to do a demonstration and feel like the ball doesn't come back to you. It's just how it works. So unless you practice them, unfortunately, you lose that skill. So even national teams, the highest level, NBA, WNBA, they all take time out of their training sessions to complete basic ball handling, basic skill level drills, to make sure or ensure that their skill set is at the highest level. That doesn't just stop when you play in the NBA. It's actually focused on every single session. So basically, these are the skills that everyone can complete. They can complete them at their own level, and that's what makes them great. So no matter where you're at, you can practice all of these things, and progression is how you, I guess, base how well you're going. Okay, so basically, I'm going to talk briefly about a few of the things that we work on and why. So I like acronyms. And as a young player, when we talk about shooting, when I talk about shooting with my players, I use the word beef, and that's how we practice our shooting technique. So it's just a real simple, easy one to go through when you're checking in with your players' shooting form, and something that they can go through themselves in their head, like a little checklist to make sure that their shooting form is okay. So basically, beef is balance, eyes, elbow, and follow through. So that's basically everything that you need to ensure that your shooting form is okay. Obviously, balance is your feet are shoulder width apart. Eyes are on the ring, eyes are up, elbows in, not out like a chicken wing. And your follow through is like you're taking the cookies out of the cookie jar. Elbows locked and you snap your wrist, okay? So that's something that I go through. If you want to obviously look more into it, if you just look up beef, there'll be so much stuff on it, and you'll be able to check that out and find out more. Agility and footwork. So basically I work on changing of direction, and the most important skill, in my opinion, in the game of basketball is changing of pace. So that's something that I really, really highly regard, and something that I think is super important to teach. So that's what we work on in agility and footwork. We obviously do your jumping. We work on jab steps, onside and across dribble footwork, pivoting, basic pivoting, and post moves. So those are things that I concentrate on in agility and footwork, and it's more of a high intensity kind of workout, and gets everybody sweating a little bit and working hard. So that's a high intensity session. Passing is one that I mentioned it the other week, but it's hard to practice by yourself unless you have a brick wall or like a concrete wall that you're happy to, or your parents are happy to smash a basketball into repetitively, or if you don't have a sister, a brother, or a parent or someone that's willing to practice it with you, it's super hard to practice by yourself. So again, because of that circumstance, I don't practice it a lot in my sessions, but it is super important that your kids practice passing. So I encourage all my kids to go down to a park with, a parent, and practice against, a brick wall or a concrete anything. They're down at a park to ensure that they get their passing practice in, as well as, doing it just with their parents or siblings. I encourage that, but like I said, I don't make it mandatory in my sessions, just because of all those variables. So individual defense, another super important one, because basically it's just a skill that just requires so much training, because everyone, needs to be able to defend their player individually. And it's such a skill, it's such a hard skill, a concept to be good at, to teach. Some kids kind of either have it or they don't. So it's something that you really, really have to be patient with and really, really repetitive with. So basically we do closeouts, we do drop steps, We work on our sliding, our big to bigger sliding, changing of direction. Again, it's just basketball. In the game of basketball, you change direction a ridiculous amount. And we do run, slide, runs to practice that movement of getting in front of the offense after you have been beaten as well, because it is inevitable that at some point you are going to verse somebody that is going to beat you. So just how to not give up and get back in front. So all of those concepts are really good skills to teach. Like I said, I'm not going to go into how I teach all of them, but if you want to obviously, look into them further, they're all fantastic things, and I guess basic foundation stuff that should be passing on to your kids. Okay. And the last one is dribbling. It's the easiest one, I guess, to kind of do in a lockdown situation. And there's so many drills out there that you can work on to help improve the ball handling. So we do a one ball series, which is obviously just a bunch of dribbling skills with one ball. We do a two ball series, which is the same thing, but just a little bit more advanced because it adds two basketballs in. And then our third dribbling series is our tennis ball series. So we do a bit of foot speed in with our tennis ball, but it's one basketball, one tennis ball. So just mixing it up a bit and just making it a little bit interesting instead of just doing the same ball handling over and over again. Try to mix it up and make it a little bit interesting. So they're the skills that I focus on. Anybody have any questions? Lockie, we're good? Excellent.
Actually, sorry, Jess, I will jump in on something.
Yep.
With how you said about the dribbling stuff, about if you don't use it, you lose it as such.
Yep.
I'll say that like a lot of the things I use for dribbling, I pinch straight off NBA players. They're pretty pre-warm up dribbling stuff. A lot of things they do are real simple things, little combo sets of sort of like crossover legs behind the back, all those different sort of things. That they practice before they play and before they train. So little things like that, you might think it's silly and it's childish, but the pros use that sort of stuff. So there's value to it.
Absolutely. Yep. No, absolutely. Very good. I guess, so moving on to an example of what one of my session plans. So this is a one ball dribbling. We actually did this one tonight. I ran a session at 4:15 tonight, and we actually did this session. One ball dribbling. This is about a 45-minute session, what I have planned there. And you can see obviously the skill or the drill, I suppose, on the left, and then I don't know how to use like PowerPoint that well, so obviously I would have it in a more efficient form if I knew how to, but this is the only way I knew how to get it across to you guys. So basically the skill is on the left, and then the time, and then basically I go through that. I add a warm-up in at the start, 5 to 10. Lately I've been going to YouTube, and so they're not hearing my voice as much. Someone else is coming in from YouTube running a 5 to 10 minute dynamic warm-up, just so they can get their bodies ready to get into doing some stuff. Otherwise I have a body wrap, ball handling warm-up that I do, but I've been trying to mix it up lately to make it a little bit more interesting. So I do that warm-up and do this, and again, lately I've been adding in a little fitness challenge as well. So today we did the baby shark abs workout, so that was pretty hilarious. Everyone had a fun time there. But yeah, basically that's just an example of my session plan, what I would do, one ball, and for how long for. Any questions about that? You want me to go into any more detail, Lockie, for that?
No, I think that's pretty good. That's a good example on there.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So, I mean, I have an activity, but Lockie, are you going to answer my questions or?
No, I reckon. I think Claire, Daniel, Crystal, Patty, and Conrad, I reckon we can rely on it to give us some answers as well.
Yeah.
I reckon that'll be good for us.
I'm into engagement. Yeah, all I've heard is my voice in my engagement. So I would love to hear from anybody else besides Lockie. No offense, Lockie. So basically, we're going to do a little activity. It's super easy, no pressure. We're going to go through what we can use as a substitute in and around a house for these particular items. So I'm running a tennis ball session. So the athletes need a tennis ball, but they don't have a tennis ball. So does anyone have any examples of what they could use as a substitute for a tennis ball?
Yes, it's Crystal.
Yes. Hey, Crystal.
I know the other day when you had your tennis ball session,
Yep.
One of the girls lost their tennis ball. It went under the table and they couldn't get it.
Yeah.
So there was a little miniature beanbag on the table that they used and threw that up in the air and caught it.
Perfect. Yeah, that's a really good one. I think I also told one of them to go grab a pair of socks.
Yes, yep.
And they said, what? And I was like, a pair of socks. And they couldn't believe that I was asking them to use a pair of socks. Anyway, anybody else? No, that's cool. Basically, like I said, I offered, I don't know if it was Morgan or Piper, I can't remember which one lost the ball, but I offered up a pair of socks. You can use anything, any type of ball that you have. Doesn't have to be a tennis ball, can be any other type of ball. I'm sure we have multiple ones that, little soccer ball or anything like that. You ideally don't want anything that will break if it's dropped. That's ideal. And you want something that can safely bounce back up. But I put things like pegs, and bouncy balls, anything like that, that you can get your hands on. A beanbag is a great one. If you have a spare beanbag, that's amazing. But yeah, things like that, anything like that, easy peasy. So what about, we're doing our agility session and they need to jump over something, but they don't have an agility ladder. Obviously, not everyone has an agility ladder. Does anybody know what they would use?
You could draw lines on the ground with chalk. It's Claire, sorry. Or you could use a skipping rope, or you could use like sticks or pencils. Yep,
perfect. They're all really great answers. Like I said, a line on the floor, any place, any object, like I said, even a stick, anything you can find from your backyard. Brooms, mops, skipping ropes. Claire covered a lot of them really good. I got a rolled up towel, hula hoops, if you have some, or basically just chalk it out. If you've got some chalk, you can chalk out a little ladder on the floor. So those are all really good ones. What about cones or markers? Not everybody has those. I don't even have that many.
A drink bottle?
Perfect. Yep, that's a good one. Anybody else? Anything else?
Shoes?
Yes, perfect. That's great. Everyone should have some shoes.
A rock?
Yep. Perfect. They're all really great. Like I had water bottles, like mini weights or anything. If you have weights around, I have cups, and anything like bricks, like you said, like rocks or wood, anything like that. I also put toys. It's like quite any toys that you have, you can move around. Those are always around, so that's something that you could use as well. I guess the next one's a bit harder. So we want to do shooting form. We wish that everybody had a half basketball court in their backyard, but that's just not really realistic. So we're trying to do some shooting. I guess what can we substitute for a basketball ring?
A bin?
Yep, perfect. Yeah.
A hula hoop or something if you have it.
Yep, perfect. Yep.
I've seen people use that before.
Yep, excellent. Yep. So yeah, you can map out a target on your wall if you want to hit the target, or a target on the floor. You can chalk it out. Hula hoops, fantastic. Garbage bins, fantastic. A bucket would probably go bust. I'm not sure, but I have bucket on there. Or you could use even masking tape. Anything, masking tape, chalk, whatever it is to map out that particular target that you want to practice and aim towards. So all those are really good. And the last one is, I guess, we're doing our 2-ball stuff. One of the kids only has 1 ball. So I guess, what do you suggest as a substitute for that?
Could you even use like a different ball if it's a soccer ball, tennis ball, something that's going to bounce?
Yes, absolutely. Yep. Any other type of ball, fantastic. I had soccer and netball there as well. You can borrow your siblings at the time, because usually if you have a sibling and you do basketball, usually they do have one as well. You can share. Or if you're really stuck and you've got no other option, you've got no tennis ball, soccer ball, any other ball that bounces, they can basically just modify the 2 ball drills down to the 1 and just do what they can with the 1 ball compared to the 2 balls now. That's your last kind of, I guess, option. So that's all really good. So basically we're just using, thinking outside the box to go, these are the equipments that are readily available for, the average person to be able to use if we were to come across those in a drill. Okay. So, well done, team. That was really good, everybody. So, the next one is how I deliver feedback. And this has been a one that's ever changing for me. I'm always learning because every year, again, and my first point is feedback is always dependent on the receiver. So basically what that means is, as a coach, you have to make the effort to understand your athletes and how they learn individually. You need to learn what motivates them to be better. And then once you understand this, then you're able to adapt the way that you give feedback. This way you ensure the feedback is appropriate and effective for each individual. So mine changes kind of every year depending on who I have, the group I have, the type of people I have, each individual. So it's something that's ever changing. So always looking to learn. So I guess when we talk about players always seeking feedback, we just have to be mindful that some players do seek more attention than others, and that's facts. That's basketball. That's life. That's how it is. Whether it's good or bad. So rather than giving feedback to a player who is performing poorly or displaying bad behavior, ensure you focus your feedback on those doing the right things. Others will then see and hear this and will try harder to gain that feedback for themselves. So that's just a little thing that I've learned over time. And then there are multiple ways to give effective feedback. They can vary depending on the particular athlete. You can try out which one works best for you and your athletes. That's all part of the journey. But today I'm here to talk to you about the hamburger method. It's one simple method that I use as a general rule of thumb. And it's a good word. It's easy to remember when you need to deliver feedback. So as you can see in the little picture, basically the bun is the positive feedback. Then in the middle, it's your constructive feedback. And then your bottom bun is your positive feedback. So you would be like, well done, Lockie. And then you would say, but Lockie, next time, if you tried to do that with your eyes up, that would be super. And then I would say, I know you can do it, Lockie. So that was positive feedback, in constructive what he could do better, and then positive feedback at the end saying he can do it. So when you are working with the hamburger method, it should be short. The main thing, it should be proportionate, and it should be to the point. So you don't want to do like a positive feedback and then list 7 things that Lockie could have done better and then be like, but I know you can do it, Lockie. He's just going to take away, all the negative stuff that you said in the middle. So it has to be proportionate. That's the main thing that, I want to make sure is emphasized on that. So that's an easy way to think about giving feedback. But my thing is, how do you deliver feedback in a Zoom call? So we're talking about engagement, we're talking about our Zoom, we're talking about isolation. So how would I give feedback when I've got all these people looking at me back on the screen, like the picture on this page? So basically, it's impossible to have all athletes on the same skill level. So you're always trying to give options to challenge athletes who are better at the drill so they're engaged and not bored. So I always try to encourage athletes to push themselves. So that would mean like trying to try to do this dribbling with your eyes up next time. And then basically if they can do it quite easily with their eyes up, I would say, okay, now try to do that skill quicker or sharper. You want to hear like the ball's supposed to like snap like it's on a string. And then, you know, if they do that really well, then you want to try to pound the ball harder to get better ball control. So that's all ways of trying to push each person if you see that they're kind of cruising or taking it a little bit easier, or the skills are too easy for them. Try to encourage them to advance or challenge themselves. When I talk about giving whole group instructions, I do this a lot because I like some of the people, because they're from CBA and not people that I have coached, I don't specifically know, you know, how they operate and stuff like that, and how they take feedback. So I generally try to stick to giving whole group instructions first, and see how they respond to that. So that's things like, stay low in your athletic stance. So that's something that you just say because, you know, 9 out of 10 windows, you know, are up out of their stance. So you say that as a general rule, and you see who, you know, takes that feedback on board. Another one I say a lot of is eyeballs up, eyes on screen, head up. So as a group, not singling anybody out, just that reminder, you know, to say that. Or pound the ball harder, faster, push yourself. I use the word explode a lot because we do a lot of changing of pace. So that's something I say, explode. And then basically I just repeat and reinforce all like the above things that I've just said until you see the athletes are making the adjustments or completing the skill at the appropriate level. So it's just repetition. I say the same thing over and over out of pretty much that list, and you know, throw a couple of other things in there when they come up. But they're the general things that pretty much everyone can improve on. And then, yeah, just reinforce and repeat those until you see, and eventually they will, you know, you see them all, you know, take that feedback and adjust what they're doing. So it's pretty effective in that group setting. I guess be positive and motivating. So it's easy for kids to get lost in the screen, and I think they feel like sometimes you can't see them, or, you know, they're just, you know, doing whatever. So I try to be positive and motivating in the fact that I mention their names, and, you know, if they're doing something, I say, great work, you know, whoever, excellent job to this. So it makes it more personal and reminds them that I'm still there coaching them. I can still see what they're doing. I can still see their effort. I can still see their skills. And it reminds them to stay engaged, or return back to the task if they do lose interest or wander off from the drill. So that's basically, you know, it's important to stay positive. It's important to be motivating in these group sessions, and that's what keeps them engaged. So I'm pretty loud. Those of you who do know me and know how I coach, I'm super loud and super animated. So I try to do that, yeah, as much as I can on the Zoom sessions. Yeah. And then the last one is basically, if you're familiar with an athlete, you can give individual feedback appropriately. So if you, as you know, familiar with a kid and know how they take feedback, then I feel like it's okay that you can individually say, you know, this person can you, you know, get lower, or can you try to do that with your eyes up, or that's not what we're doing, you should be doing this, or something like that. Those things are okay if you are familiar with the athlete. And yeah, basically, if you follow the rest of them, you should be able to give appropriate feedback. Same as if you follow the hamburger method, you pretty much should be able to give appropriate feedback to anybody that you're coaching. So that's how I feel about that. Is that okay, Lockie?
Yeah, it's all good. Thanks, Jess. Well done.
Perfect. All right. So this will be a good one for not Lockie. I am going to show you a clip. I'm going to play it a few times because they're only very short. But I want you to try to tell me or give me feedback on my shooting form. So I've taken a slow-mo video of my shooting form. And I want you to try to give me some feedback if you want to. If you don't, that's okay. But we'll give it a go. I'll try to make it big so people can see it. Let's pause it. Take it back to the start. I'll play it a couple of times, and then feel free to chime in if you have anything that you want to give feedback on. So we're just practicing giving some feedback. I wish I knew how to put it on a loop. Last one.
I can't see anything wrong with it. Constructively feedback it.
Sorry?
I can't see anything wrong with it.
Okay. Oh, that's good to know. I'm sure Lockie will come in here with several things. Go on.
I'll go.
No, so you think that it's a pretty good shooting technique, Crystal?
All right.
Okay. I can take feedback. It's all right, as long as it's hamburger. Anybody? Claire? Daniel?
Daniel and I were the same as Crystal. We were like, what's wrong with it? Maybe you jump forward, that's all.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good thing. Yeah, you're supposed to, try to jump and land in the same position when you are shooting. So technically that's correct. I should be jumping and landing in the same spot. So that's a good pickup. Lockie, is there anything that you picked up?
I have the added advantage, Jess, that you showed me this the other week, and the one thing we discussed is like, if I was to give you feedback as a child, I'd put it like this. I'd say, Jess, I love how your body's facing the basket and you squared up really well. Only one thing is that when you go to follow through with your guide hand, your left hand, your thumb's flicking it through, from what I can see. So I'd say next time, trying to have that thumb facing straight back, and that way your shot's going to go nice and straight.
Perfect. Yeah, no, that's good. That's good.
So that's just it. That's just something I always identify, because I used to do it as a shooter.
Yep, no, absolutely. And I was a shooter as well at some point. So, yeah, definitely noted. It is something that I do. My offhand is a bit strange, non-conventional, but it did the job at the time. Anyway, so Lockie, I'm not sure what you want me to do with these, because these are all just examples of clips. So basically, I put together, with the help of Mick Ryan, some examples of my session plan drills completed by athletes, because I know that obviously looking at a piece of paper that has just words written on it isn't actually going to benefit people if they don't actually know what that is. So we put together a little bit of a video of a physical demonstration of the drills to try to help the coaches if they need it to refer back to, or want to go off it to run some stuff. So I've got an example. Do you want me to show one to the guys and then you can put them on the website, or what do you want me to do with these ones?
Yeah, definitely show it now.
Okay.
We've got some time. From memory, there's only a few more slides
there's
left.
this is it really.
So yeah, just
All
play
right,
them through and
perfect.
we should be all
So
good.
this is an example of our 2-ball series drills that you can run. Are you going to put these on the website, Locke? Oh, how do I? Eep. How do I stop it? Okay. So that's one. So that's your 2-ball series. Do you want to go through all of them, Locke, or are you happy for me to just?
I reckon just go through the one.
Yep.
And then people can go through the other ones in their own time.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I've got the tennis ball series and a 1-ball series one as well, just so they can get a good idea of, basically what I run and what it looks like. So, yeah, basically that's it from me. Does anyone have any questions?
Doesn't look like it, Jess. I also say a big thank you for all the work you put into that presentation, and then also reaching out to people to get those videos up and about. I think they're going to be really valuable for everyone going forward using those. I know I'll definitely, just looking at them, there's a few there I was looking at, I'm like, they look like pretty good that I'm probably going to steal and use myself.
That's good.
Yeah.
No, that's what it's about. I guess, yeah, in lockdown, it's been a really good time to be able to, do some clinics and what you're doing, Locke. It's really fantastic being able to hear from other coaches and like you said, see what they're doing. And if you like some of it, then you pinch it. That's how coaching works. It's how you become better, and just opens your eyes up to new ideas or different ways of doing things. And I've been watching a lot of coaching clinics lately, and even things like terminology and stuff that you just wouldn't normally use that makes sense when they say it. You're like, oh, I should have been using this from the start. So it's a really good opportunity to get out there and listen to other people and take away from it what you like, and that's it. It's really good.
Definitely, that's what we've tried to do, just try and open up that pathway to some experienced coaches we do have, to try and pass that knowledge on to so everyone else can become a little bit better. We have a stronger association and become a stronger country. In broader terms, create better basketballers. So, we really appreciate your time tonight, and also all the work that you've been doing as well with your clinics and all that. It's a lot of burden off my shoulders when there's people like you around to give me a chop out and help me do things. And that allows me to do other things.
All good.
Dedicate my time elsewhere, which has been good.
No, you can't be everywhere. So happy to help where I can. And I just hope someone can take something away from it. That's all. Yeah.
Perfect. Especially like I'm sure there's people out there who are in charge of certain domestic clubs or something, who may be able to set some challenges to a domestic club they're involved with. So there's someone who might be a girls coordinator or something, I don't know, who might be able to use some of these things to do that. So have a go at that, Claire.
Yeah. I've put it out there. I have.
Yeah.
I think it'll be good.
Yeah, perfect. All right. On that note, guys, if there's nothing else, thank you very much for coming in on a Wednesday night and spending your time doing this. And we won't be on next Wednesday night, but we'll be on the following Wednesday after that. So we'll have the second week of school holidays off. And the Wednesday after that, we're going to have our Youth League One women's coach on, Deb Coulson. She's going to give a presentation based on some of the things that her values and philosophies as well, like we've done with the other coaches. So stay tuned for that one. All right. Thanks, guys. See you next